Hello humans, Master Dinnerflex here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve. And today I guess I'm going over my new format Lair of Darkness deck. I haven't really done it, but I've done plenty of Lair of Darkness decks before. But I decided to go with, quote, this format, even though this could easily be next format list because of Pot of Indulgence. The reason I say it could be this or next format is because we're not going to have any events for a while. And by the time we get Indulgence, it could still be the same format. However, because of how the list is arranged right now, it could also be a new format. But I wanted to show this off because I found, like, when I was playtesting Pot of Indulgence, I found this interaction that was insane, and I wanted to show it to you guys. So I stuck with what I naturally and normally do. We got 3 Lilith, 3 Arima, 1 Diablos, and ties targets. These are all the engine pieces. Lilith, of course, being the most important card. Arima to get Lair, help you not lose. Darkest Diablos is a boss and game ender. And then all these utility monsters. And then the 3 artifacts. I'm thinking about, like, cutting Moral Talk soon. Like, it's really good against really mediocre decks, but I feel like having a tool that is only good against, like, average decks isn't something you really want, because if the artifact engine is useless against the deck you're playing against, Moral Talk isn't going to make it much better, because you still have all these sanctums and scythes that you can't really do anything with, and yeah, I don't know. Scythe is still insane. But yeah, I feel like these are still the best 3. And yes, to this deck, it really does matter that you have more than 1 Scythe. Not for the fact that you'll draw one, but more for the fact that you actually want to resolve Scythe as many times as you possibly can. Because a lot of the way the modern, like, Link monsters work is the Link monsters are the ones that are really giving the deck advantage, to the point where if they just don't get to those links, they're not really gaining any card advantage. Like Isolde is dumping like a +1 to the grave to summon a +1 after it's searched a +1. Like, yeah, if they can't have access to those, then they're really far behind on card advantage. And then finally, 2 hand traps to search with Sangan. I really want to go up more, but don't really know how. A lot of room is being taken up to real traps. Then 3 Lair of Darkness, you really need this. 3 ties, very important. Now, this is the card I want to talk about. So, if you don't know for whatever reason what this does, you can only activate it at the very start of your main phase 1. You banish either 3 or 6 extra deck monsters face down randomly, and then draw 1 card for each 3 that were banished by that way. So, something about stun decks like Lair of Darkness is the extra deck is about as useful as a side deck. Not to say that the side deck isn't useful, but during a mid-duel, the side deck doesn't come up until the duel is over. And the extra deck is almost the exact same way. There's almost never a reason to go into the extra deck with this deck. So this is just a Pot of Desires that banishes a resource that was worthless. It banishes a resource that had no effect on you. And that is insane. The only drawback is, the only other drawback is that for the rest of the turn, he can't draw cards with effects, which is fine, because unfortunately, you have to take Upstart out, which kind of feels awkward, but that doesn't really matter too much, because a draw 2, playing 3 draw 2s, but you're forced to eliminate a 1 draw 1, that's fine. And then 2 Power Duality, it doesn't conflict with Indulgence, it doesn't draw. And yeah, I don't really like Duality in here, but I felt like it was necessary, just because of what I'm going to explain later. So 3 Sanctum, 3 back to the front, and now 3 Reckless Greed. I'm going to get into this later. 2 Storm Duster, 2 Impermanence, and then the 1 Trap Trick to make it to where any 2 traps become 3 traps with Lilith. So, Reckless Greed. I've explained this card before. It is a draw 2 that advances the cards you're going to get rather than just a free draw 2. It's more like you already had access to those cards, but at like a slow speed. Reckless Greed gets you those draw phases immediately. However, like I said before, skipping the draw phases don't accumulate. So if you activate 2 to 3 Reckless Greeds, no matter how many cards you draw off them, you're only skipping 2 draw phases. So you want to see these as fast as possible, together. Here's where Indulgence comes in. So, Indulgence, while you have it, is an extra 3 copies of Reckless Greed, except you're not skipping the draw phases, obviously. So what I mean by that is, Reckless Greed is a trap card. You don't have to activate it during the main phase. And you don't have to activate it after you've activated Indulgence. As a matter of fact, the only time you want to activate Reckless Greed on your own is during your draw phase. And why is that? Well, during your draw phase, before anything else happens, you draw for turn. Then, in your draw phase, you activate Reckless Greed to draw 2 more cards. Now, your next draw phase and the one after that are skipped. However, you've seen 3 cards really quickly. And that gives a better chance to see another Reckless Greed, so the draw phases stack on each other, and there's less of a downside. However, the reason you activate it in the draw phase is because of this card, Droll and Lock. If you activate Reckless Greed in the draw phase, they can't use Droll and Lock in response. Now, that's neat and all, but what does this have to do with Pot of Indulgence? So, within those 3 cards that you draw, if you draw Pot of Indulgence, you can still activate it, and it's another draw 2. So you are seeing 5 chances at Reckless Greed, but at the same time, it is the Reckless Greed, because Reckless Greed is so powerful because it's letting you see 2 cards, but then you're getting another card that lets you see 2 cards. So now you're playing 6 draw 2 cards. And the more you play, the more they get to see each other. Like if you're playing triple Reckless Greed, it's very easy to draw into non-searchable cards like Indulgence. And Indulgence is the same way, except Reckless Greed is searchable in this deck because of Lilith and Trap Trick. So, hopefully you guys have caught on to what I'm saying. There are now 6 draw 2 cards in this deck. And that's very powerful. Any stun deck that has access to 6 almost Pot of Greeds can easily snowball your opponent out of the game. And this is no exception. So that's what I wanted to test, and it's been doing insane. Literally on the brink of 1 card, I've drawn for turn, activate Reckless, and draw into Indulgence from it. And I turned 1 card draw phase into a 4 card opening. And with those cards, I literally won the duel. Like, it's crazy that these cards snowball on each other. And that's pretty cool. So, the last 2 cards that are down here, I was just testing them. I'm not sure how I'm really going to use them, but they seem neat. So this one, I'm pretty sure you guys might have seen before, but what it does is during your end phase, you gain an effect depending on the number of monsters you tributed this turn. If you only tribute 1, it's an upstart at the end phase, which that's pretty bad. But if you tribute 2, which is the one I'm really after, is you add 2 monsters from your graveyard back, which include hand traps and like Arima to search another field or to just summon it and get Diablos. Third one I don't actually like either because it's not really helpful going first. I don't know how I feel about this card. Originally, there were situations where I could activate it for 1, and there was even a situation where I could activate it for 2. But in the situation where I could do 2, I didn't have any hand traps in the graveyard, which is why I thought about going up, but at the same time, this card just might be completely mediocre, and there's no reason to play it. And this one's interesting. It increases the activation speed of 1 trap card per turn. And by that I mean, if your opening hand has Reckless Greed and this, it's a draw 2. Immediately. You just set it, activate it. Now, like I said, it turns Reckless Greed into a Pot of Greed, and it turns Storm Duster into a Twin Twister, and it turns Back to the Front into a Monster Reborn, which is cool. And it also doesn't matter how it's set, so if you set something with Lilith on your opponent's turn, you can activate it. I don't know how I feel about this yet. It feels stronger than this, but at the same time, it's a 2-card combo card, and Lair of Darkness is inherently a 2-card combo deck, so I don't know if I want another just cloggy thing in here. But, yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed my long-winded explanation of how Indulgence and Reckless Greed just snowball a whole bunch of stun decks now. So, yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master Dinnerflex will take your soul.